is in here. Oh. Mr. Wetzel, what do you need? Okay. Okay, so oh, okay, I didn't know that she'd be here already. Okay. I will be collecting her and having her in Minton. Thank you very much for telling me. Alright, everybody. Now, good afternoon and welcome to Literature Clubus. Now, this is the deal. This is the very first meeting, and Literature Clubus is more of a fun clubus rather than a club-is, the class part of it, which, the biology clubus is a little bit more like a class. This is just for fun. With every meeting, we're going to be reading either a poem or a story, and we're going to be talking about it and discussing it. So that's basically all we are doing, and we're using this book. I have copies over there if you need them. I don't think that you have collected your copy yet. You're all going to get copies. Basically, we're kind of taking this thing back into, the olden days when they used these type things. And I have somebody coming over to help with the preparations for tonight's dinner party. Jada Del Wintis' last dinner. And she is, she's a very well-trained and highly experienced teacher in, the 1950s way of teaching. And she, probably used a reader to teach, the students if that's how they learned back then. Okay, so we'll be using that book, and I'm going to be treating it like how it was in the old days. And if I want to continue this lit club, then I will take stories off of the 2 short story books I have in my library. American literature will be offered at the Kindle Academy, and also the world literature class as well, and British literature. And actually, the person that is coming over today, her name is Jenny Gibson, and if you've ever seen That'll Teach 'Em, from the 1950s, where 30 modern teenagers, I think it's 30, go back to a 1950s grammar school, and they're basically separated, and it's all about the discipline and the tests and everything. And she was one of the teachers in that particular program. And I'm telling you this because some of you are from Wabimbi Esconroles, Menton, Wabimbi Grosses, Menton, and then the other half of you are over at my Menton. So you haven't met her. My Menton went over to the Menton headquarters yesterday, and my current Menton guest person and me met her in her office and got to know her. Blonde hair, kind of tied around the back, glasses on. Looks like the female version of a psychology teacher I had when I was in high school growing up. A little bit, small, a little bit wicked. Like, remember all of the customs that I have on my little website, and one of them is the wicked custom. And if you've ever heard of a customary resemblance, then the person's customary resemblance and also facial features match up to, Linda Wickett, who I have, if you go on my page, I have like a little, side tab, and I think that Wabimbi Bluebell and I made it, where it talks all about her, and it talks all about Thomas and Friends, Jenny's Machines, Alfie, Ned, Terrence, all those individuals, and also it talks about Linda Wickett, so you'll get to know who that is. She teaches over here at one of the organizations as a middle school English teacher. And Jenny is very well skilled in English. So that's one thing as well. Okay, so she will be coming over today, this evening, to be kind of in the background, helping out with the preparations for the meal, the dinner party for Jada Del Rentis. And she'll also be dining with us, so we'll get an opportunity to get to know her, because if she's helping out to cook, then why not, she would be eating it as well with us. And also, we also talked about, the new positions for the fall, and I'll be here during the fall because, as you should know, I teach at one of the organizations here in town, and they've closed because of COVID. So that means that I get to, really, take the full wings and really put a lot of, effort and time into my Menton. She is from Great Britain. She is from the UK, and could be one of the teachers in Harry Potter, easily. So she'll be actually teaching at the Kindle Academy this fall, and she'll be teaching a couple English classes, British literature, and I think that the other one was classic literature, not American literature, because she, is not American. She doesn't know a whole lot about that. But definitely teaching Shakespeare, I can tell you that much. Now, that was the 1950s. And I think that you've all seen Anne of Green Gables. And I think that, one of the common things that they did in the one-room schoolhouse when they were doing the literature is they had little readers. And it looked like books like this. This would be a textbook that would be, that they would use back in the day. Lewis, now we have, they have, literature textbooks that are really, really big and thick, and, Holt McDougall's one of them. So this is a historical artifact. This is kind of an antique book because it was in such great condition and it was used in the 1950s. So she should know about that. And she's not really planning to join our meetings, but I think that Mr. Wetzel came and told me that she just arrived, so she'll be probably absorbing this first meeting. But so this book, you'll find all the books I clone this book. Probably, not the best thing to do since it's one and it needs to, stand out. That's what people always told me, let an individual be an individual, but I'm just not going to not take advantage of things. So, please be careful with it. Don't throw it around. Don't drop it. If anything happens to it, then it has to be accidental. Treat it like your own. And I'm going to be letting you have your very own reader. Okay, so you're probably going to be putting your name on it. I just, was just, I had this book, and I had it for quite a while, and I never really looked at it. And I was thinking of a way to use it, and I think this would be the perfect way. It's not a big deal to start clubbuses and everything, so this is the way that we're going to be using it. Now, as I said before, this is not going to be a class. This is going to be kind of a little club. Okay, so that's what I want to make clear. I heard the doorbell. The doorbell rings. It has a very, very loud ring. So I believe that that is Mrs. Gibson. I don't know. I think that... Okay, I'll go get her right away. Okay, everybody. So, what I need you to do is I need you all to remain here because I'm going to be grabbing her from the, from the door. Not an mentioned guest and not an mentioned person of mine because I don't have the interest, but will be joining us today. Okay, so, thank you very, very much. How about you all stay here and then I'll be right back. Okay, it's definitely fickle weather today, isn't it? It just started raining and then now it's sunny and it's all over the place. So, welcome to the Minton. I'm Trevia Truck. It's not really my real name, that's my name backwards. My real name, as you know, F. Curdy. And Labimbi Canada. That's my Minton name. So, welcome to the Minton. Mrs. Jada should be here, probably, sometime a little bit later. So we'll just start. So, everybody, this is Miss Gibson. This is Jenny Gibson. And she will be joining us for this clubus meeting. And let me tell you, you're going to find some really, really unbelievable things at my Minton and probably Mrs. Bluebell's Minton. When does she have Miss Bellbook's Minton? Does she have anything, unbelievable at her Minton? Oh, really? I wouldn't have Thought that I would have the interest in having that. Yeah, well, we have certain things as well. We actually, a couple of years ago, several years ago, within the Groes, Julie Eskinwall, who you'll meet later, and me, Minton, had affiliates at Minton. We have being said as, people that take things from live action movies or TV shows or, video games or books, put them in real life. It's absolutely unbelievable. The real ideas come from Joka. We wouldn't be in Minton without that country. But it's a bit of a distance. We have a lot of different tricks in the Minton and up our sleeves and everything like that. So, welcome. Now, everybody, we're going to actually begin. So I want you all to grab your little books that we're going to be using. They're called readers. And maybe, because I know that you have teaching experience, teaching, 1950s, so maybe you could take over a little bit, but, wonderful. Okay, so all of you can grab, your copy of that and put your name in it, okay? Just because I think that you should all have your copy, because we have cloning machines. This is yours to keep if you want to keep it. But if you want to return it by the end of this clubus, then by all means, you can do that. The choice is up to yours. It's your choice. So, that's really what I want to talk to you about. And remember, treat these nicely. They're in such good condition, and I want to keep them that way. Because remember that when we clone things over, it's exactly like the original thing. You can't, change it really. Just like when you're cloning people, you can't, change that person's mind or that person's personality or something. So that's the thing. That's impossible to do. Maybe that's a good thing that is. So I'm going to put this away now, and we're going to actually start. I don't know why the thing is a little bit loose. Excuse me. You can grab a seat over on at the actually. You can sit down over there. Okay. I know it does get hot, doesn't it? Okay. That should do something. Alright, everybody. Now, the reason why I am doing this, and I think that I should probably do it a little closer so that you can see me, just like this. Okay, so this is how it is going to work. Now, let's see here. So, the very, very first thing that we're going to do, and I actually just want to show you what the actual book looks like. So, when you get it, it looks something like this, as you should know. And then when you open it, and what time is it right now? Okay. We should start at 4:30. That's when we're going to begin. So this book belongs to, it has the little, writing, old writing, fancy things. So put your name in there. There's pretty little designs. And then once you've all done that, then we're going to move on. Okay. So on, I don't think that we need to read the preface. I didn't want to have to deal with the preface. So on page 5 is the contents page. On page 5. So the thing is, we're not going to be going in order with this. I'm going to be skipping around certain things. So it's separated into different categories, as you can tell here, in different sections of it. And I think that it would be good, especially thinking about the weather today, and the time of year being really, really hot, and also, the fact that we had rain this morning and rain clouds. I think that it would be good if we read the, let's see here. So the very, very first thing that we're going to be starting out with is, it's going to be Wimfa, Africa Herd Girl. So that's the very, very first story. Okay, so I want you to, and if you go down to, it says, boys and girls from other lands. It should be on page 258. Okay, so I want you to turn to, to that page. Okay, so, the thing is, what's going to be happening is, I think that I'm going to be starting out doing this one. And then, the next time we might do something called, popcorn reading, where we're reading, little bits of it. So, but for the very, very first story, I think that I'm going to be starting out. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. So, certainly. So, 258. So, at the beginning of every story from this is just the little preface, just for the story, and then it has the story, and then it's divided into several sections, and then it has illustrations in there as well, so that you can, get a visual. And then at the end of it, it has little things, it has little, like reading comprehension questions that we might do or might not do. Okay, so I'm going to kind of leave it a little bit, casual with how we're going to be doing this. Now, I realize that I forgot to give kind of a good introduction. So, the thing is, you're joining this because, you might have an interest in, reading. You might think that's, fun. You might like, reading, fictional stories, and might really enjoy it. And this is meant to be kind of a fun little thing to go along with the Everlast Clubus. So for those of you in that, there's going to be another meeting. And for those of you in Julia's Menton, then please stay on and look forward to the dinner tonight. Okay? And her whole Menton's going to be coming over here, at the dinner part of it. Okay, so it's divided into different sections. Now, here's the thing when it comes to, it's different when you're, reading out loud and then you're reading in your head. When you're reading out loud, it's, kind of about keeping up, and when you're reading in your head, you can really, can really read it at your own pace, and you can really, understand and appreciate, the story a little bit better. So that's what I would really recommend, reading it on your own for those who, like it better that way. I think that's, the right way to do it. And actually, there might be a couple stories in this that that I might have you read just silently. But I think that for the first one, we're going to be reading it out loud. So, you don't need to worry about the little, like this part of it. So you don't need to worry about that. So, the very, very first section of it is herding the cattle. So I'm going to be starting to read that, and if you want to, you can probably read another section of that. Okay. Okay, good. So I'll read this one and then... Okay, good. Oh wait, I'll just read the whole thing, because there's two different sections. So, the first one. So, it says... So, really open up your imagination. I'll try to read slowly so that you can really get it in your mind. So it says, it was yet 3 hours until the time of sundown and driving in the cattle. Now was the hottest part of the long day in West Africa. So it's talking about, Western Africa was really, really hot, and, it's really fitting for the summertime. So you're thinking about the wide open plains, and it being in the afternoon, in the evening. Wimpa, the little herd girl, yawned as she lay in the shade of a huge tree, the only large tree in sight for miles and miles. It was the only tree, in huge field. Before her spread out her father's herd of cattle, 50 slow-moving white cows, each with horns a man's height, across a huge hump between its shoulders. They lay now in such small shade as they could find, contentedly chewing their cud, and calmly looking out over the blazing plain. A cowbird, crowds of which followed the cattle herd, hopped nearer, and made bold by Wimpa's stillness, pecking at a wood near her foot. But at this, Burry, her pet monkey, suddenly sprang up and let out a shrill chatter of rage. Herding would have seemed a dull life to anyone not accustomed to it, but Wimpa preferred it, as it was unusual of the girls of her tribe, to pounding corn and spinning and cooking over the tiny fire in front of a hut in the narrow little village. Herding cattle was boys' work. At present her brother Burham was down with the measles. For this reason, the only daughter of the family was allowed the task of watching the herd. The little African girl was tall for her age. The girls of her tribe were very slim, and their skins are whiter than the usual African natives. She wore a cloth of brilliant blue, wound round and round her hips like a short skirt. Lying in the shade of the tree, she had taken off her headcloth, and her crisp black hair was braided in the 2 plaits which came in front of the huge round brass earrings which all the girls wore, brass finger rings, and a green bead necklace completed her hot weather costume. So you'll picture this. So, as the sunset began to turn the sky into a great ceiling of gold, and purple shadows lay over the brown stable of the plain, Kimfa stretched herself. Clicking to her pet, she jerked life's short strap, and the monkey leaped lightly to her shoulder. The large animal of the herd, old Moi, clambered slowly to his feet, a signal for the other cattle to follow. Moi was a huge beast. His horns spread more than 6 feet from tip to tip, and his beautiful white coat was spotted with black, and stood waiting patiently for Wimpa to mount him. No other man or woman could approach him, not even her brother who usually tended the herd, but Wimpa had clung to his tail, clambered to his hump, since she was a small, ginger-colored baby, and he usually understood almost everything that she said to him. Now she leaped to a place just behind the hump, and hung on to it, her bare heels digging sharply into the side of him forward. The monkey chattered, and Moi shook his long horns angrily at some pestering fly. He hated bullying, and long ago would have gored the little beast with his huge horns, if the monkey had not been far too nimble for him and hid behind Wimpa's skirt. I don't know why I'm messing up words today. I don't know what the deal is. So there's actually 3 sections. There's 3 sections. So we basically get the picture of it. And we basically get the picture of Wimpa in the in the field, under a tree with the plains and then all the other animals, around her and everything. I don't really think that there's a whole lot to explain. So it's talking about her life and, her love of, cattle and, cows and everything. So, we're going to be continuing this. Okay, I'm going to kind of, stop the filming of it now so that we can continue.